Welcome everyone. Good day wherever you are. Thank you for joining this session. So this is about unifying everything with SAP Integration Suite and then with a focus on AI agents, third-party connectivity, and pre-built integration content. So we will dive right into it. We will start. For any questions, feel free to leave them. We will discuss them at the end of the session. And in this session, we will answer a lot of questions around Integration Suite and what is possible today about standard connectivity, content, AI, acceleration. Basically, few of the questions, few of the use cases that we cover, like how do I set up third-party integration in SAP? What's the best way of doing that? How does AI and the AI adapter help my integration op team to find better solutions quicker in SAP Integration Suite? How do I need enterprise context? What's the key of enterprise context to utilizing AI to a bigger potential in DevOps integration process? So if you're a business stakeholder, if you're an IT stakeholder within the integration domain, I think this is a very fascinating session covering these 360-degree topics around SAP integration, and on top of that, also how to accelerate business process automation using SAP Integration Suite. So taking all of these things together, you get a very good overview with also a few deep dives on specific topics. With me here is Ankit Kesarwani. We're both enterprise integration architects in the SAP integration domain, and we're happy to take you through these different topics. First, the context. Where are we? What is happening around this? We live in a world of more. See all these logos, all these applications. Like typically, enterprise that we work with, they don't have a few applications. They don't have tens applications. They don't have hundreds, but sometimes 1,000 applications in their enterprise landscape. So think about it. Yeah, thousands of applications that all in isolation have a certain role to play, but they come to real value when they're connected to the data around them. Hence, we see these things like data products, data mesh, advanced integration setups, and it's all to make sure that the enterprise becomes an autonomous and integrated enterprise. And we want things quicker, event-based patterns that are rolled out. We want to share more data, and it has to be more intelligent with embedding AI in this service as well. So take that all together, there is a huge demand for third-party application integration. And that's actually what we're going to talk about because enterprise landscapes, they consist of a lot of different technology and a lot of different platforms. SAP is in most cases the heart, the central hub in this, but there are also third-party applications that are connected as we work with so many different teams, so many different applications. So talking about Rojo, how are we connected to SAP? We are strategic partner with SAP since 2011, so time is flying. It's already 15 years now. And we also have partnerships with other organizations around the SAP ecosystem. So, for example, these third-party SaaS applications like Coupa and others. And we are a migration partner with SAP as well. If we take a close look at our portfolio, then you see that observability is a key part as well as the AI augmented integrator. So it's no longer the traditional model on SAP integration. We're doing the whole 360 life cycle, and that means also tapping into acceleration in variety of different scenarios, both business and IT, and we will take you through them step by step. These are all positions, let's say, as part of the augmented integrator experience, and this you will see how it comes to fruit, what results it will bring across third-party application integration, but also governance and your DevOps process and everything around SAP integration. So let me give the word to Ankit Kesarwani. I already introduced him before, because if you now hear this more and more setup, right? We live in an age where it's not tens applications, it's thousands applications, and we have SAP combined with other, big SaaS that we want to roll out or other, let's say, applications we want to connect, which are third party. how do we do this? How do we connect them? How do we make sure they communicate with each other and facilitate this fluent, smooth data exchange? So I'm very curious about your take on this.
Yes, and thanks for setting the context. And I think it's not an easy puzzle to solve from the connectivity point of view. That if we are embarking a journey of a new project where we are onboarding Salesforce, for example, or we are onboarding a new procurement system, how do we make sure that our base is right? We are setting up the connectivity in the right way. And to understand, I think it's important also to understand what are the options which we have currently within integration suite. So I think, Sander, I will share my screen to uh, explain a bit over high level that what are the options do we have first of all in integration suite, and within integration suite what does each option mean, so that we as an audience can understand that with options, with each option, what are the pros and cons of it.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah, my screen should be visible now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming up now. Yeah,
Yes.
we see
So
it.
as I was talking about the integration suite itself, within integration suite, it's important to understand it is just not an iPaaS solution. It is much more than that. It has different capabilities within it, and each capability has a certain purpose to it. So if we have to manage the lifecycle of APIs, we have API management for it. If we have to connect to our trading partners for B2B integrations, we have TPM capabilities within integration suite. We also have capabilities around management of events with event mesh and advanced event mesh. And there are many other capabilities as well in integration suite. But the solution to our problem, or the context which you said, Sander, in terms of connectivity, we design our orchestration whenever it comes to third-party connectivity, mostly in cloud integration, where we have our interfaces, or we call it integration flows running. And there, if I have to connect to, for example, SAP, oh, sorry, to Salesforce, we have few options there. So what developers does normally. So we either would go with the standard vanilla HTTP adapter, we would either go with open connectors, or we have the option of standard SAP application specific adapters. And what we want to do is we want to zoom in each of these options. What are the pros and cons of it, and why we should choose standard application adapters, and the benefits of it. And I think the best way of doing it would be by taking an example by analogy of if we have to travel from one neighborhood to another neighborhood. So if I go towards this example, which I really like in terms of explaining this options. So if we have to travel from one neighborhood to another neighborhood, or from one village to another village within a city, we one option is that we take the roads. We don't go via highway. We take the roads where we have a lot of roundabouts. We have many red lights in between, many checkpoints, and then we are reaching that village. It will be scenic maybe, but this will definitely take a lot of time for us. And on top of it, we will have to also take care of maintenance if we think from the HTTP adapter perspective. Because with HTTP adapter, if I try to compare it, is exactly the way. We don't have any ready-made solution. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to write our own logic. We are trying to write our own orchestration in managing the tokens, in managing the lifecycle of connections. And that is exactly that, having multiple roundabouts, having multiple red lights, which increases the latency at first place, and also increases the overall cost in terms of maintenance, in terms of operations for us in a longer term. And that's exactly what happens in many cases when a developer decides to go towards HTTP adapter. On the other hand, there's also an option of open connectors. In this scenario, it might look straightforward, but what is happening, we still have a hop in between, because we are going out of cloud integration via the open connectors and connecting to the target application. It eases out the connection, but it creates a latency in between. And on top of it, this is added with the cost which it brings. Open connector is definitely will add an additional layer of costing per message for the connectivity part. So one, it adds an latency, and second, it is costing extra. On the other hand, if we look at the third-party adapters, the standard adapters which is available within SAP CI, they are like highways for us. So there, we don't need to stop anywhere. Everything is out of the box available to the developers. All the connectivity authentication problems, you have to just configure your security artifacts and refer them and select the operation you want to perform within the adapter. So you don't need to worry about reading all the documentation of your application. You don't need to worry about understanding the authentication mechanism of the application. All that comes pre-delivered within the adapter. And the best thing is it is available out of the box within cloud integration. So you don't have to pay anything extra when we are using cloud third-party adapters to connect to all the SaaS applications, which is there in our enterprise. So this is how we can relate to the different options available within cloud integration when it comes to connectivity and which option is best for us. And this is a summary of it. As highlighted, with the application specific adapters, we definitely are reducing the latency. It is native to SAP CI, so you don't have to go anywhere else to do the configuration, do the development, maintain it for that matter. So from design time also it is better, from runtime also it is better, and on top of it, there is no additional cost to it. So I think the answer is very clear. Uh, if we are starting a new project or if we have onboarded a new SaaS application, we should evaluate first, okay, is there an application specific adapter available for it within cloud integration or not? If yes, we should try to embed that from the very first step of or stage of integration and leverage it for the whole orchestration. And there's also a question which comes a lot to us is that how do we find the right adapter if it is available for our application or not, right? So here, if I would talk about the roadmap, you might have seen this slide maybe in the past, but what you see right now in your screen is basically an overview of the adapters, which is being delivered uh, as a part of SAP CI license over the time. The one which you see in green is already available, and the one which you see will be available in coming quarters and years, depending upon their roadmap. And if you are looking for, okay, for a specific, and this is not just the whole list of it, these are the main applications which we have highlighted here, but they are much more than that. And if you're thinking and you're not able to find your application adapter within this list, you can also go via API Business Hub, where you can search for your application, and then you can find the adapter and the configuration guide for it. Maybe I can show that in the screen itself. So if you see here, right now I am inside Business Accelerator Hub. And within Business Accelerator Hub, if I go to the integration section, within integration section, we have adapter. And in adapter, you can search for all the standards and the application specific adapters available for the connectivity within SAP CI. So for example, if I would search for Salesforce, I have it here. And within Salesforce, I can search for the connectivity with applications also, but it also gives you already an indication the adapter is available within the integration suite. And on top of it, if you are a developer and you already have access to integration suite, what you can also do is you can directly go to discover phase, go to the integration, and then look for the adapter which you want to use or application which you want to integrate with. And the third option is also directly inside your integration. So if I would go in the edit mode, um, the list of adapters is also available in our, when I drag to connect an application, if you see, there's a big list of adapters which is possible now, and it is growing as we speak. And I can directly search here also if I have to search, for example, Jira. I have the Jira adapter. I can select it. I can do the basic configuration which is needed. I can configure my host, my credential alias. And the best thing which it is, what you are getting is already the configurations and the processing which you don't need to worry about. You can select the operation which is there. You can select the versioning which is supported right now. And accordingly, this adapter will support you in your orchestration. So this is about how you can find the adapter if you're looking for your application integration. And also on top of it, there are many questions which comes to us because we definitely have a guide with us, which helps you in the process of configuring this adapter and using this adapter. But at the same time, there are questions that, hey, do we have a template available for this operation in this adapter? So what we are doing is right now, and we'll be launching soon, is a collection of all the templates for different adapters with a combination of operations, so that developers can take it as a starting point for them to understand, okay, for this particular operation, I have to configure the adapter like this as a best practice. And this repository will be available to all the SAP Integration Suite developer community through our LinkedIn community, which we will talk about in the end. And we will try to make it uh, available in coming days, and it will be added as we launch new adapters. We will also enrich that repository uh, as we go along.
Yeah, it's
But
interesting, Ankit, because that will mean
yes,
that you know kind of quite quickly how to have the best practices around using the adapter, getting the most out of it while starting with it, and yeah, knowing what each operation requires and how you can create kind of like patterns of integration flows for it to make sure you can accelerate even further using the best yeah standard fit, which is the adapters for these scenarios. And it also drives me to another question. I mean, it's there's a lot of talk about yeah, can we embed um, yeah, let's say the capabilities of AI of my enterprise LLMs in these integration layers. And I see here the AI adapter. It's not
yeah.
underlined here because it's not
Mhm.
matching with the screenshot on the right, but it's
Yeah,
definitely there in the ecosystem. Can you yeah, can you explain if
yeah.
this is possible and how to do it?
I think yes, that this would be the best example to explain how application specific adapter can solve the problem of connectivity and opens the gateway to different use cases for that particular application. So as you were asking, Sander, when it comes to, and I think it's a very common thing across the enterprises right now, that we are trying to embed or connect with an LLM, or we have our own custom agent which we are trying to integrate in our business process, and also interact with that in our runtime, in our integration flows for that matter. And many times we are evaluating, okay, how do we do this connectivity part? We will be able to communicate to our out of the box available agent or custom agent, or to the LLMs which is supported by the enterprise. And answer to those questions is the AI adapter available in SAP Integration Suite. What does it mean? It means that with AI adapter, we can connect to the LLMs, which is um, supported by their specific enterprise. We can connect to the custom agents which we have, and this is exactly what it means when I say it's like almost a gateway to all the AI use cases from the integration standpoint. So we have the option to connect it to the LLMs, which is available. For example, we have also now uh, made it possible to connect to Claude. We have also supported or added um, major other LLM providers,
Gemini
agent
also. Yeah.
Gemini as well.
Hmm.
True,
Yeah.
and I think this is really the key here. So it's not limited to the just the SAP ecosystem. It's almost like an bridge to all the LLMs which is available in your enterprise, and you can make use of them in your integration, in your integration. And I think we have good examples what um, we see customer already using our AI adapter for, um, and And agent orchestration is another example of it, that how we can have multiple agents speaking via the interface and using the AI adapter. So I think I would like to also give some examples, concrete examples, which will make it tangible for to understand. Okay, we have integration suite, we have the connectivity option to all these LLM, but what a sample business use case would look like. So this is what we explained, that we have now also the option to connect with Claude and Gemini. And customers who are using already AI adapter can also now leverage this. But coming to the business use case, the first business use case which I would like to talk about is the credit check. And it's a very interesting one, because it removes uh, the the manual steps which a business users you would have to do to check the credit rating of the customer and maintain it. And how does it work? If I have to explain it high level, so we do create opportunities in Salesforce for new customer or for existing customers, right? Whenever we create these opportunities, many times the sales agent need to determine um, the credit rating of this customer to whom they are doing the business with. And here, if we see it from the orchestration perspective, what we can imagine is that we can have a PubSub event, platform event getting triggered from Salesforce every time a new opportunity is created. And via the Salesforce PubSub adapter, we receive that event. What we do once we receive this event is we try to do few calls. One call is to call SAP S/4HANA to get the real-time data of the credit information of that customer, so that we have the current context. Second is we are connecting to an AI agent. We can call it AI sales agent, which has knowledge of all the sales order, all the invoices which has been paid centrally for that customer. And what it does, it asks based on the different prompting, hey, what is the credit rating which should be there based on the history which we have for this particular customer? And what you can imagine is a response coming in this possibility where it is greater than 750, between a particular range, or less than the range where we would block it. And this information goes back to my Salesforce opportunity in a custom field, where we put this information, and this information can be accessed by the business user. So then what it means, as a business user, I already know, after these orchestration from S/4HANA, from my sales agent, that for this customer, this is the rating, and this is something which we can already approve as it is a low risk. And if it is not a low risk, it's something which we have to review, then we can go directly to this agent. So business users can also speak to this agent and say, hey, what are the reasons why we are giving this as a review status of this opportunity? And so it's almost like a communication to the agent via the interface to get the real-time information, so that we don't have to do it manually. And second is we were also able to speak to this agent to have a clear understanding of what the other reasons and what are the track history. So this is one example of the business use case which we have. Another similar example which we have also implemented in one of the customers is the purchase requisition check. So the context here is, for a procurement system like Coupa, we also have the adapter here available, Coupa adapter. Um, there are many requirements here. Before, when we create a purchase requisition, um, we have to select the right configuration of our chart of accounts, our products, of our GL accounts. All this information has to be configured correctly. And depending upon the purchase which we are doing, um, we have to select the right configuration accordingly. And many times this is stored in S/4HANA. Some information is custom rules which we have defined depending upon the price of that product. And there are different approval process for it. So what was done here is that every time the purchase requisition was created, there was some validation first at the UI level. And but for the rest of the validation, where complex rules were involved, complex data orchestration were involved, the procurement agent was taken into consideration. So here again, we used to do calls with S/4HANA to get the real-time information in terms of master data setup. And based on the rules which we have defined for requisition and the knowledge base which we have, that check was done and an update was sent to the Coupa system back that, okay, for this purchase requisition, this is the configuration looks okay, and these are the suggested values which you can do. And then the users have already an idea, okay, these are the possible values which we can select or recommendation from the agent, and accordingly can be updated. So rather than doing it completely manual, all those checks manual and putting it in the UI, um, which sometimes are not even possible, this is the approach which was taken. So it's a combination of integration plus interaction with procurement agent using the AI adapter here. In both use cases, we used AI adapter to interact with our um, either with sales agent or with procurement agent.
So Ankit, to recap, these are mostly business-driven use cases
Indeed.
with the AI adapter, what we can achieve. What is it also possible to use it for IT-related use cases?
Yes, definitely. It's just an aspect of how we use the AI adapter in which use cases. And I think I have few examples there which I would like to also talk about. The first would be the error handling. So um, if we talk about error handling, conventional error handling, we always have those templates within integration suite where we either record the message with externalized parameters to control the logging, either we send it via the notification to some central email box, or we are logging this in our ticketing tool, be it ServiceNow or be it Jira, right? The problem is that all these are very static information that, okay, this error occurred and for this interface and this at this point of time. Because the real problem comes after the ticket is reported. How do we solve that problem? Because for that operations agent or support agent, they have to go and check, first of all, what is the reason of the failure? Have we already solved this kind of problem in past or not? And if we have solved it, what was the solution to it? Who solved it? What were the steps of resolution, right? Most of the time, information is already there, and we already have faced this issue, but it's just that that information is not accessible to the support team to be able to use it. And this is where what we have done is at different customers is set up a known error database, you can think of it is, and which was connected to the agent. So what you can think of is an operations agent, which has the information of all your current interface, which is live, which is information of past errors of those interfaces and their resolution from your known error database. And anytime you are running an integration, and if it fails, something we have to configure it that we don't try to interact with agent for every failure. This is something which has to be done in the orchestration. And but the point is, anytime there's a failure, what we do is we go to the agent in the runtime and the processing time, ask, hey, this is the error which has occurred, and do we have any related errors to it, and do we already a resolution for it? And that gives a summary of, yes, this error has occurred in the past and this is the possible resolution for it. And if I have to give an example of it, this is how it looks like. So this is a screenshot from Jira where we have the message ID static information of my failure, and the dynamic information of how I would call it is the resolution which was given by the agent, where it suggested, yes, this was a known error, and which team solved it, how it was solved, a related ticket which is from past, a link to it, which support team can use it for their resolution. So, and this is one example where what we are trying to do is we are trying to embed the interaction with AI agent in our integrations in real time, in runtime, right? But this is more of how I would call it, making my integration smarter, right? But there are many use cases where we have to build this integration also, right? The first step. And that's where also the use case can be translated to. So, and this is the second part which I would like to talk about is migrating to SAP Integration Suite. Um, Many of us, we already are on the journey of migrating SAP PO. to integration suite. There are multiple customers which are doing it, and SAP is also releasing functionalities um, and adding a layer of AI to SAP migration tool, which will help customers in migrating, for example, complex Java mappings or artifacts, in addition to the standard migration tool. But there's a vast majority of customers who are migrating their either legacy middleware or other iPaaS solutions to SAP Integration Suite. It can be Boomi, it can be MuleSoft. And we ourselves are running multiple projects in parallel right now where customers are unifying their middleware solution to SAP Integration Suite or migrating because of some acquisition we have done towards Integration Suite as it is their main integration solution. So the point here is in all these scenarios, this originally is a very manual process to do where we have to manually extract the artifacts from the source system, translate it into the design requirements for integration suite, do the development manually, do the regression testing, and then we are doing the cutover. It's a very extensive process and not a straightforward process, right? And it can take easily months or years sometimes when we are migrating this. But how do we use AI and AI adapter in this whole process? And this is what exactly we want to also talk about based on the experience we have already used. So if we talk about the pre-migration phase, here we what we do is we try to extract the logic from the existing system, translate into a sequence flow diagram, a logical process. We try to extract the mappings. Instead of doing this manually, we can use AI adapter in combination of an automation in an orchestration to extract all this information, convert it into clear requirements for our integration developers. That's the first step. Second step is when we have the clear requirement, the clear mapping and business logic which was there in the source system, middleware, we need to generate these artifacts. One way is we manually develop all the mappings, all the iflows, but is it needed? Probably not. And this is which we have already done the automation using AI capabilities, where we, on the basis of defined templates and patterns, we generate artifacts, generate iflows, migrate the mappings from legacy middlewares to SAP Integration Suite, and then also for testing, we are using the AI capabilities and the automations on top of it to extract the payloads from the source system, run it through our migrated interfaces, and compare the results out of it. That okay, after extraction, migrating those artifacts in our execution, are the results matching from my source middleware or not? That regression test is also something which we are leveraging to have an understanding of, okay, the execution was successful or not. So this is another example, Sander, how I would say we can use AI adapter and AI capabilities in this from technical perspective.
Yeah, understood. And I think in this way, you can, like you said, Mon's trajectory could be dramatically accelerated towards, weeks in that translation. And yeah, also to let the audience know is that we're running tons of migration trajectories in parallel on these areas, working with SAP Integration Suite. And yeah, it's great to see how from a legacy platform perspective, where integrations have been built, designed maybe 10, 15 years ago, that they are rapidly modernized, capable for your governance, for your setup and integration suite, and then used for the new future, yeah, within the SAP ecosystem. And what Anke just explained accelerates this trajectory massively. So if you have any questions about this, don't hesitate to reach out to us or via SAP. Yeah, I think then the part of yeah, what can we do in terms of the DevOps process? Like how do we work over and from requirements gathering all the way towards delivery? We have now seen it in a migration project. We already have a legacy platform that we transition from, but for our, let's say, yeah, our entire DevOps process, yeah, where can we embed AI capabilities?
Yeah. And I think it's a very good bridge from the previous topic to this topic, because what we discussed in our previous topic is that how, when we are able to extract the information from my legacy middleware, convert it into clear design requirements for our developers or for our agent, which can generate artifacts. And this is exactly the base which we need if we are going in the direction where we want to enhance our whole DevOps lifecycle. What does it mean? So right now, if we look at our DevOps lifecycle, we do have a mechanism where we get the requirements, we translate it into our design, and then on that basis, we develop the interfaces manually, uh, transport it to higher environment, do the regression testing, and then do the cutover, and not the cutover, but the go live, and then do the support part of it, right? In this whole life cycle, if we have to bring AI capability into picture, if you have to think of how AI can help in this whole process, right? What are the options here? So if I have to talk about it, the base or the very important context here is the enterprise knowledge. What does it mean? It means that if I have to change the way of I'm developing the artifacts or developing my integrations, I have to train the agent with the enterprise context which is there in your specific enterprise, meaning it should be aware about your patterns which it is followed, your best practices, your security standards, your business process context. So awareness about your enterprise is important before you can even think of, okay, I will generate the artifacts, because right now we have capabilities within Integration Suite which help you generation. But what we are doing with the customers is also take that as a base, and on top of it, we are trying to further train the agent with the context which is specific to your enterprise. And on that basis, we can help the developers in developing the artifacts or generating the artifacts, I would say. We can help the operation team members in managing the tickets and incidents in a much efficient way. If you think of it, the error handling case, which we talked about, there, that agent to which iFlow was talking to can also be interacted by the operation team members, because you can imagine if they can interact with an agent which has information of all your past incidents and their resolution, and it can give a complete summary of those information to your operation team members. So
Okay,
what?
yeah, it could be a
Yes.
good idea maybe to go to that example, right? To show it,
Yeah.
also for the sake of knowing where we
Yeah.
are in the webinar
Yeah.
with
I can
time, but then we
imagine.
can
Yes.
show that example
Yeah.
about that error
Yeah.
case handling and how it's actually helping the ops team.
Yeah, I think I don't have, or what I will do is I will give an example of how this works in real time. So what you see right now in the screen is what I will show, our Rojo integration accelerator, which is using the in the background connection with the
Right.
LLM with
Yeah.
knowledge base which we have, and on that basis, it is able to help different personas in the DevOps teams, be it developer, be it operations, or for that matter, business users, if they want to know about the or they want to trace some um, bu- business objects in the middleware. And here, if I show you example of it, we have this um, available, this demo available. Just a minute, I think I have to get out of the cursor. Yeah. Mm-mm. Yes. So if you see here, what we are doing is we are asking questions. For example, as an integration developer, what we can do, we can ask questions to this agent depending upon the best practices which we are following in the enterprise, not the standard best practices, the best practices which is followed within the enterprise. So here it is about Salesforce integration, and we are starting a new integration for Salesforce to SAP for business partner, and we are asking if we already have some templates available. And what the agent would do is it will browse through your design time, find the related artifacts, and give you an overview of it. Other example could be we are looking for best practices uh, for our agent. Uh, so here, if I'm also asking, hey, what are the supported operations within the Salesforce adapter? And it gives all the templates of those Salesforce adapter for that particular operation within this. And which you see right now with the hyperlinks available here. And as a developer, I could also ask if I would see here, what is the naming convention we are following for all the message mappings which we or the artifact which we develop, and that it gives a summary of the standard um, naming convention which has been set by the integration team, which as a developer we have to follow. So this is an example of how um, this is just part of the suggestion, but we also have the functionality where it generates artifacts. Maybe we can pick that in the follow-up session or a next webinar, but this gives you an idea about how, if we train the agent with the enterprise context, how it is able to accelerate the whole DevOps lifecycle for you. And this is what I think one of the aspect which we have to consider when we are embarking the journey of agentifying our DevOps process, our DevOps lifecycle from integration context.
Yeah,
So yeah,
100%. So this is the
yeah.
dev part that you just showed. I think in the past we already were looking at the ops part related
Mhm.
to how we can help with the error handling and actually having the context of the past errors, where the same style of what you're showing here is also possible, that you have that interaction. You're speaking with the agent to understand what were the past issues, why you're proposing this solution right now, and in general, you're learning as a ops and agent, yeah, collaboration. You're being better at resolving issues that are there and go towards, yeah, self-healing in the future.
Correct. Yeah. And I think the other aspect we wanted to talk about today, I'm also looking at time, is because talked about the connectivity part of the puzzle in integration, so that how we can connect with an application. We talked about the AI agents, the AI capabilities within integration suite, and what we can do around DevOps when it comes to AI. The other aspect we also wanted to talk about is the aspect where we have how we connect business processes when it comes to in SAP Integration Suite. So if we have order to cash
Right.
business process, we have procure to pay. And I think,
Yeah.
Sandra, if you want to give a glimpse of it, an understanding of it, it would
Yes.
be really nice.
Yeah, we do this
Yes.
as part of the closing part of the session. At the same time, the questions are coming in. We see questions coming in chat and also get via different channels. So these ones we will do in the last minute. And here, what just Ankit was explaining, I think is very important that we talked about adapters, how it standardizes the connectivity towards any application you connect in integration suite. But now let's look at it one level, deeper, further. In the end, as a business, you're supporting different business domains. You see here finance, HR, procurement, operations, sales, marketing. So all of this needs to be supported. And what we talked about in the beginning, we have not a few applications, we have maybe hundreds or thousand applications doing this. And maybe from the core set, maybe we're talking about 100 applications doing the majority of these business processes. And in the past, they might be embedded in one application. The last 20, 25 years, it's very clear they span multiple applications in total. Like we don't see anywhere anymore that a sales order process it's only existing in one application. That does not exist. It at least goes through a CRM, at least goes towards an ERP kind of like system as well, which in the context here is very likely to be S/4HANA. So now, if you're in a stage where you're rolling out a new third-party system in an SAP landscape, or you're moving towards there, or you're extending that, then of course it needs to be connected in that SAP ecosystem. SAP and non-SAP. So in the yeah, let's say the capabilities of integration suite content is viable. So if you go to api.sap.com, you will find an amazing set of scenarios that can be automated, and yeah, that is very yeah, I actually done via integration content. So if we want to connect all these business domains, we roll out a new SAP or non-SAP system, and we are using B2B Integration Suite, then it's a no-brainer to not build from scratch. Again, that is the ask and the request to say, don't go define the requirements in terms of building it from scratch. Go look at the requirements and see what's already there that can get you to 80, 90% and see where your business processes are slightly different, where they're customized, so you can get to that 100% very quickly. And with content, you will use the best practices. You're aware of about Clean Core and S/4HANA. You know about how in B2B Integration Suite we that is the platform to integrate these different applications. And what if all those best practices are already put together in a package. And that's what we're talking about here. So if you go to api.sap.com, you will see all these content packages that are available. You can also reach out to SAP and to Rojo channels about this content. And in the end, it facilitates rapid business process automation when your business process covers more than one or two applications. An example is, for example, with procure to pay. So the systems that are there are like Zycus, Coupa, Zip, any of these systems. And in order to integrate fast with an SAP backend, in this case S/4HANA, integration content rapidly gets you there. So all the mappings, orchestrations, all the API understanding, it's already embedded. Even event-driven patterns are possible. And again, you don't need to build and design it from scratch. You just need to adapt, tweak, and configure. And that will get you really into weeks instead of months to roll this out and start using this new application. What happens a lot is that you have a new SaaS, and then the afterthought is, oh, how do we orchestrate? How do we integrate? That is now thinking of the past. You can now quickly get it, roll it out, deploy these packages, and you have your first critical 5 to 10 objects already flowing A to B without a doubt. So that's the big advantage going this route, and that's what, for example, in farming industry was done as an example where we quickly were able to accelerate. The concept in the integration concept, I think it's clear. Again, it taps into using the standard connectivity for the third-party adapters, and it rapidly speeds up your delivery process. So you don't have to go through all these different loops to have all stakeholders together from technical business part. You only do that for the last part to confirm and to customize partly and to configure and to do your deployments towards the higher environments. These are a few examples of the business processes that are covered from all the way from procure to pay to hire to retire, and you see these part of third-party applications. So if you're in this session, you see some of these icons. You're actually starting with extending your SAP ecosystem in these directions. For example, you're using Snowflake, you're using DynamoDB. As part of SAP Sustainability or Signavio, you're using these platforms. Know that there is content out there that gets you rapidly up to speed. This is an example of how it shows for Salesforce. So what I want to show is that actually after deploying the scenario, this is for order synchronization between Salesforce and S/4HANA. You just see that you can easily get it up to speed. So in this case, the order 55 is already synced, and what we're doing is we're changing the quantity here from 8 to 10 in the Salesforce system, and just because this is already, let's say, a real-time replication happening, you can see that within seconds this is actually getting synced towards S/4HANA as well. So it is the scenario in B2P that you will deploy and you get as part of that integration content package. And then here, if we look up the order in S/4HANA Cloud, we will find the references with indeed this changed quantity, which is now to 10 changed, which was already or originally 8. So this gives you a clear example of how actually acceleration can be achieved of these critical business processes through integration content, which is basically a set of integration flows that you deploy, configure, you read upon in the guide if needed, because you need to enable some standard processes on S/4HANA side, for example, and then you can already see the transactions and master data flowing left to right, which is amazing innovation and within the integration domain. So what did we talk about today? Third-party application connectivity, how we can achieve this via adapters, how to build more intelligent processes both on technical and business side using the AI adapter capability in Integration Suite, how enterprise context is very critical in smart automation and improved decision making using AI powered DevOps, what Ankit was explaining, and last, the prepackaged content. It's there, it's available, it's keep being updated by Rojo and Truth and SAP to apply with SAP's clean core principles and to quickly automate your business process. So if you're rolling out Salesforce, if you're rolling out ServiceNow or Coupa or any of these platforms, then reach out to SAP to accelerate this quickly, and you can find more information, for example, on the API, sapapi.com as well. Then that leaves us to the last part. If there are any questions, I know there was a question asked. I don't know if Ankit, you have seen it in the session. It was like, what is needed to use the agent? And this was definitely about the agent that you were showing, I think somewhere at the end of your part. So what is all needed to have this set up to use this agent? Talking about the best practices in governance and the naming conventions that is there within the organization when an engineer is starting a new scenario. So yeah, maybe you can already
Yeah,
think about
it's
that particular question. Before we do that, I just want to show this one. If you want to reach out to Rojo for information about this content for accelerating migrations, like we also talked about, or for any of these AI-driven use cases around SAP Integration Suite, please reach out to us, and you can use this QR code to do so. Also, we will publish more information in the LinkedIn newsletter that you saw on the previous slide, also related to this repository of the best practices with operations in the adapters, like we mentioned.
Yes, Sander, I think looking at time, I think it would be good to also wrap up. And for the question part, I think I will keep it short, but we will get in detail. We can contact one-to-one for that answer. But it's about changing the way we work currently in our whole DevOps lifecycle for the integrations, for the interface lifecycle, and avoid any manual step which is possible in terms of developing the artifacts, in terms of validating the artifacts if it is following the standards or not. All those things which we do currently manually, how can we remove those manual interventions and automate it using AI or the automation which is built on top of AI. So that's the way forward, and a lot of organizations and enterprises are already started this journey and trying to change their way of working and leverage AI. So that's the direction which we also see happening in the market. And I will we can get back with more details if you need in our one-to-one session.
Thank you for that. Yeah, also via other channels, I get questions about
Yeah.
using Outlook let's say Mail instead of using Jira in the error handling scenario, for example. I mean, that's also supported. There's now an Outlook adapter available that gives you also very specific options, because Outlook is used quite a lot in enterprise context. And of course, you can do the same analysis, put an analysis via Mail channel, via Teams channel, also to share within your collaborative Microsoft suite as part of what you're doing. So all these things are possible. I want to thank you, Ankit, for joining me in this session today. I want to thank the audience for the questions and wish you a splendid rest of the day and more sessions out to come. Thank you so much, and you can always reach out to us.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you.